Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Making news this morning, the latest on a homicide suspect that led law enforcement on several chases.
And a Navy nuclear engineer has pleaded guilty to giving information about American nuclear-powered warships to someone he thought was from a foreign government.
Outside with live cam, it's cool out there. There's a little bit more humidity. You may notice a little bit of moisture on your car windows as you head out to them this morning. Good morning, everybody. We made it through Valentine's Day. It is Tuesday, February 15th.
Happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. Yes, we made it through Valentine's Day and Super Bowl. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. It was nice to be able to watch the whole game and not worry about what time I needed to go to bed.
Well, that is good. So you got to enjoy the entire game.
That's a win considering our shift. Let's check in now with Mike Osterhage is here. Hope you had a good Valentine's Day.
Yes, indeed. And it was absolutely beautiful in the afternoon. So
yes, it was.
Today's going to be nice. Probably not as nice. And as you mentioned, a little bit more humidity out there. And what we're going to have to watch out for is a hint of fog to form up later on this morning. There's nothing showing up out there at the airport right now. We got 45 degrees, so much milder. Yesterday we hit down to freezing here in town when it was all said and done. So we are about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than that, and no freezes anywhere. And also take note of these numbers, the dew point temperatures. They are running in many cases neck and neck with the actual air temperature. So with the light winds, some clear skies right now, and this humidity, that's some of the ingredients to get some fog. There's not anything showing up right now, just a hint of it there around Beeville, but as the morning rolls on, we'll have to watch out for some of that fog to form up. Mold and Mountain Cedar are both on the low side. Mountain Cedar dropped down a whole bunch yesterday from 4,600 or so, what it was over the weekend. And throughout the rest of the morning, 43 degrees, patchy fog here and there, especially off to the east, and we'll have some more clouds off to the east. And then going to call it partly cloudy skies. It's going to be breezy today. Southeasterly wind about 15-25 miles per hour. That's going to continue to pull in all the moisture around here, and that's going to help with the clouds, and clouds will increase. Couple of small rain chances, not a great shot of rain. Another very warm day tomorrow, and then we get another cold front. Will we freeze? Details coming up in just a couple of minutes. Mark.
New this morning, San Antonio police investigating a crash involving a motorcycle overnight. Happened just after 1 a.m. at the exit ramp of Northeast Loop 410 and I-35. SAPD says the motorcycle's driver said he didn't know if he was hit by another vehicle, just lost control of his bike. The driver was taken to the hospital in stable condition.
An update to a story that we've been following since this weekend. The homicide suspect that led police in Dilley on several chases has died. He has been identified as Fabian Garza. Police say he is accused of killing Melissa Escobar in Pearsall on Saturday night. Officers in Dilley confronted Garza on Sunday morning. He was involved in several car chases and 3 standoffs with officers. In the final standoff, police say Garza turned a gun on himself. He was then taken to the hospital. Officers now say he died from those injuries.
Now to a criminal case that's straight out of a Hollywood spy movie.
A married couple living in the suburbs allegedly tried to sell U.S. nuclear secrets. ABC's Rhiannon Nally has more.
This morning, the former U.S. Navy nuclear engineer accused of trying to sell secrets about U.S. submarines has now pleaded guilty. Jonathan Toby and his wife Diana were arrested in October. The pair appearing as normal suburbanites living in a quiet Maryland neighborhood.
It's some of the most closely held technology and the deepest secrets that the U.S. government has.
Neighbors disgusted to hear the duo is now accused of trying to swap top secret information.
I was shocked, very shocked, disappointed that someone would betray the country. Very disappointed.
Toby, who had top security clearance, confessed in a plea hearing yesterday that he sent a package of documents to an undisclosed foreign government in April 2020. The FBI found out, and undercover agents posing as spies from the foreign nation allegedly made a deal with Toby to share the secret information in exchange for $100,000. Investigators say Toby deployed elaborate tricks to conceal data cards while dropping them off, hiding one in a peanut butter sandwich, another disguised in a pack of gum. Officials say Toby admitted that his wife helped him in the foiled plot, something she denies, pleading not guilty. She's facing espionage-related charges after allegedly serving as a lookout, trying to give a foreign government an edge on the United States.
These fast attack submarines, which incorporate a lot of stealth technology, these submarines cost about $3 billion each.
Now, an engineer once entrusted with the nation's top submarine secrets has torpedoed his freedom. Jonathan Toby will likely face 12 to 17 years in prison. No word when his wife is due back in court. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Over in Houston, the family of a 9-year-old girl still hospitalized following a road rage shooting is asking for the public's help in finding those responsible for injuring her. Houston's mayor and police chief announced the rewards in a case that's now increased to $30,000. Ashanti Grant was shot in the head as she sat in her family's SUV as it was going along a Houston freeway back on February 8th. Police say the SUV was shot at by someone in a white 2017 GMC Denali pickup that appeared to be racing with another vehicle.
Federal prosecutors have rested their case against 3 former Minneapolis police officers charged with violating George Floyd's civil rights. The prosecution rested on Monday after nearly 3 weeks of testimony from bystanders, doctors, police officers, and others. J. Alexander King, Thomas Lane, and Tu Tao are accused of depriving Floyd of medical care while he was handcuffed and subdued by Officer Derek Chauvin. King and Tao are also accused of failing to intervene. Tao and King told the judge that they plan to testify. An attorney for Lane said earlier that his client would testify, but now says they will discuss it further.
A federal hate crimes trial of 3 Georgia men convicted of Ahmaud Arbery's murder is now underway. Monday, opening statements began after 12 jurors were selected to serve in the trial of the father and son, Gregory and Travis McMichael, and their neighbor, William Roddy Bryan. The jury said they'll decide whether the McMichaels and Bryan are guilty of acting out of racial hostility when they chased down and murdered Arbery back in February 2020. All 3 men are charged with interference with rights and attempted kidnapping. The men are currently serving life sentences for their murder convictions in state court back in November.
And time now, it's 4:36 and about 45 degrees out there.
Well, still ahead, if you're ready to take a trip back in time, you may be in luck. We'll tell you about the Delorean Motor Company's plans to mount a comeback right here in good old San Antonio.
And the Spurs take on the Chicago Bulls last night on their rodeo road trip. We're going to have those highlights next.
More like lowlights. DeMar DeRozan had a very, very good night against his former team, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right, taking a look at TransGuide right now. We've got a few cars out there right now, but still very early. We know that. But if we see anything before Steven gets in this morning and gets you updated, we will let you know. We'll be right back.
And a quick look at the roads with live cam. A cold 45 degrees, but you know what? Not as cold as yesterday. We were in the 30s yesterday morning, and we're looking forward to some high 70s today. Very nice. We'll be right back.
Our Spurs continued their rodeo road trip last night in Chicago, looking for their 3rd straight game against the Bulls. DeJounte Murray's been red hot over the past 2 games, and he keeps it going, driving baseline for the lay-in and an 11-10 lead. However, former Spur DeMar DeRozan ended up scoring 19 of his 40 points, folks. Yes, 40 in the 4th quarter for the Bulls. It was DeRozan's 7th consecutive game with at least 30 points, extending his career high. His first player with such a streak for the Bulls since Michael Jordan during the 96-97 season. That's what kind of breakout year he is having in Chicago. San Antonio closed the 3rd with an 8-2 spurt for an 89-83 lead. Lonnie Walker had 21, 9 of them in the period, including a layup with 24 seconds left, but it wasn't enough. Bulls beat San Antonio 120-109 for their 4th straight victory.
Mark had a great night. He was super. But we could have done a better job on him, and we didn't. No matter who we put on him, whatever scheme we were trying to use, we did not execute it as we would like. And so the combination of him being super and us not executing very well was a big contributor to losing the game.
San Antonio Spurs are at Oklahoma City tomorrow night. Tip-off is at 7 o'clock. Bullfighters Cody Webster and Chuck Swisher need a bonus after the first 5 days of bull riding at the San Antonio Rodeo. This is Dallin Duncan on board. Doolin Dalton, but not for long. He is off and in trouble. Look at Cody and Chuck. Just throw him out of the harm's way. Take a look at this. Dallin hanging on for dear life, and once he's thrown, Cody and Chuck move in, actually standing between him and the bull to get him from getting horned or stepped on. Here's your winner. This is Jordan Hansen on board. 8 ball. He's going to have a score of 86.5. And they're going to do it all again tonight out at the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo.
That always scares me, but it's exciting to watch.
It is. It is. Yep.
Time now, 4:42 and 45 degrees for now. It's not going to take 1.21 gigawatts or a lightning bolt to bring the Delorean headquarters to the Alamo City. How soon we can expect it and how it will impact the city.
The next first look at the new Super Bowl champs celebrating their big win at Disneyland.
And welcome back. It's 4:45. The LA Rams celebrated their Super Bowl win at Disneyland yesterday. And ABC's Kaylee Hartung has the details in today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, they went to Disneyland. And GMA was right there with the Super Bowl champions as they celebrated their victory.
Who's more excited to be at Disneyland today, you or your kids?
Our kids for sure. They're fired up. This is a cool thing for us, but I know my kids are having a blast out there riding some rides right now.
The raw emotions on the field, turning from tears to pure joy.
I feel like a kid with this whole experience right now, man. You just taking it all in, man. It's been truly a long journey to get to this point. So we all blessed to be here, all happy, and get to share this with our families.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll hear much more from these excited champions as they take one very magical victory lap.
This has been incredible. Being the happiest place on earth with all our fans here, just an incredible experience. Thank you guys so much.
With your GMA First Look, I'm Kaylee Hartung, ABC News, Anaheim.
Well, it truly is Back to the Future. A car made famous in the Back to the Future films hopes to make a comeback right here in San Antonio.
The Delorean Motor Company is not only planning to bring a new electric version of the car to the city, but also hundreds of jobs. Daphne Gray has a preview.
Anytime I go in the garage, it kind of brings a smile to my face and a little bit of nostalgia. Having the old one and the new one, I think would, be the best possible combination of both worlds.
J.R. Trevino owns a 1983 gas-powered DeLorean.
Just a fun car to drive and everybody gets excited. And I think when people see the car, it invokes that sense of emotion of their childhood. And the fact that you don't see them very often, it makes people excited.
Which is why he was pumped after Greater SATX announced the Delorean Motor Company will soon have their headquarters based out of Port San Antonio.
Delorean is back and San Antonio is the future. Everybody has been waiting for this comeback, and the fact that it's going to be an electric vehicle just makes it that much more exciting.
A future that will bring 450 new job opportunities to the city.
In engineering, accounting, finance, sales and marketing, and other executive type level positions.
This tells me that people outside San Antonio are choosing to invest in San Antonio.
Another plus in all of this, the company plans to work in partnership with different universities in San Antonio.
They're going to hire students directly from these programs. There's going to be job opportunities. All in all, it's a great gift for San Antonio.
Now, if everything goes according to plan, DeLorean production is set to begin in the next couple years, which means the hiring process needs to start a lot sooner. You ready to rock?
Ready to rock.
Let's do this. Daphne Gray, KSAT 12 News.
That's cool. She got to.
They like the stand-up. It would have been cool if they got in and the editor went, pew, it just took
it went
off.
to the future, right?
Yep.
That would be cool.
No video stream there in that last one. There's 37 at Houston looking live on TransGuide. Still very light traffic. It's still very, very early, but of course you know that. You need me to remind you. That's for sure. Let's bring in Mike Osterhage and talk a little bit more about what to expect. Yes, Mike, you have a...
Well, it's interesting talking about that because I remember reading a few years ago when the DeLorean car company went under, there were still all the spare parts there and that had not been assembled yet. And a company had purchased all those. So you could have purchased a brand new 40-year-old or 30-year-old DeLorean. All the parts were still there and they were just putting them back together.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And, the engines, the stainless steel body panels, the whole 9 yards.
So the pieces are there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they look like.
I hope, though, they don't change, if they do this, the exterior.
Yeah.
Or not too much.
Do you want them to stay with the stainless steel and everything?
The stainless steel, all-wing doors and
I
everything.
think so.
That's what it is.
That's what they're known for.
It is kind of exciting to know that the rebirth's going to happen here.
It is.
Versus somewhere else, California or whatever.
It's kind of funny because the other day I saw a new Corvette parked somewhere. I was like, well, that's not a Corvette. Because, it's mid-engine now in the back. And
right.
Looked like a, Lamborghini.
I don't know. I kind of like the new ones better. Yeah. I mean, but I know for purists, they are not at all resembling what, like, for example, the old Stingrays.
Got to have that front end with the engine. Anyway, back to the weather. Beautiful. Good day to take a drive for the past couple of days in the afternoon. And look at that in Belleville. Oh, my goodness gracious. And we are going to have a decent sunrise this morning. A few clouds out there. Good view looking off to the west past the airport. 45 degrees. So we've got temperatures that are much, much warmer than what they were yesterday. We're at basically the normal high. And now there has been a little bit of a wind chill to deal with. Not much, slight breeze out there. So with the very light wind, with clear skies right now, and that higher humidity relative to the temperature, we are kind of setting the stage for some fog. There's nothing being reported as of yet, but we just need to be on the lookout. Upstairs in the atmosphere, we've got a lot of dry air, so we are going to see after some of these low clouds this morning, or if some do form up, we will have some sunshine mixed in. However, then we are going to have more moisture coming in here throughout the day, and that's going to help with clouds, especially later on tonight. So here's what happens with the dew points. It just continues to go up throughout the rest of the afternoon with these southeasterly winds, which are going to be on the breezy side. And as these dew points get up into the mid and upper 50s, even getting close to 60, and that's where you start to feel it up in the low 60s. That's going to be the situation tomorrow. So that helps with warm temperatures, with more cloud cover around here tomorrow, as well as a couple of sprinkly showers. So there's a disturbance moving on through here. But then notice how by Thursday early, there's that drier air. So we get an initial surge of drier, somewhat cooler air. Then we're going to be getting the kind of the surge of the really cold stuff moving on in here. So we see more clouds kind of sliding on in here from the southeast, a few of them today, and then especially overnight and into tomorrow. A lot of clouds hanging around tomorrow. A couple little sprinkly showers, and then a few of them late tomorrow night, early on Thursday. But rain chances are maybe 20% at best. It's not a good shot at any rain with this, but definitely colder air coming in here for the latter part of the week. So 65 degrees today at noon, partly cloudy skies, definitely more humid today. We're going to make it up into the 70s, and still a decent looking day, and then more clouds overnight into tomorrow. A lot more humidity, 76 degrees, couple of showers, maybe one or two of those showers overnight, and then cool down on Thursday, 68 degrees. And by the way, the next couple of days are definitely going to be on the breezy side. And that front's going to move through late. Actually, the first wave of the front moves through Thursday. Then the really surge of cold air comes in here for Friday. So that puts us down close to freezing Friday morning as well as Saturday morning. Decent looking weekend in the 60s.
Yeah, I was asked yesterday, are we done with the really cold mornings? And I said, no, probably not.
Just kind of like last week, we were thinking, are we done with the mountain cedar? Nope, because it came back over the weekend. So we'll see what those winds do on Thursday and Friday.
Well, remember, too, I think it kind of started late, too. It seemed like it took a couple weeks. Normally it's Thanksgiving, but it was...
You were anticipating, but it didn't arrive.
That real big peak before the historical peak.
Right.
It's hanging in there, so...
All right, we will.
My oak leaves are starting to fall already. It's like,
We'll tough it out.
We will. 4:53, about 44 degrees.
And coming up next, why we are still talking about Bruno. Plus, YouTube is revealing the most watched Super Bowl ad.
Lottery numbers, beginning with pick 3, 594, Fireball 3. Your daily 4 numbers, 3, 4, 6, 7, Fireball 7.
Looking at cash 5, 14, 23, 29, 31, 34. Your Texas two-step, 7, 10, 24, 26, bonus ball, 25. And your Powerball numbers, 16, 25, 27, 49, 55, Powerball 17, Power Play 3. Good luck.
A new episode of Abbott Elementary debuts tonight on ABC. And yes, we are still talking about Bruno.
For the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Jason Nathanson.
I'm Janine Teagues. I've been teaching here at Abbott Elementary for a year now.
Quinta Brunson is having a moment. Her new sitcom, Abbott Elementary, is one of the best reviewed and most watched of the season. And she tells me the best part is that her parents love sitcoms. And now they understand what she does for a living. Because the 32-year-old used to work at BuzzFeed, she says, making pretty good money.
And my mom just didn't know what BuzzFeed was. So she was like, are you stripping? How are you paying for everything? So this is a very concrete thing that is understandable to the whole family. ABC, yeah, we know that. American Bandstand was on there.
A new episode of Abbott Elementary debuts tonight on ABC.
Love the eye patch. It's When does the show open?
March 8th. Setting reminder to fake your own death on March 8th.
People seem to love the Amazon Alexa Super Bowl spot featuring Scarlett Johansson and her husband Colin Jost. YouTube says it was the most watched Super Bowl ad on their site Sunday.
I feel happy. Great. Very happy. Good for you.
Followed by Zach Braff and Donald Faison's T-Mobile spot, and then the trailer for Jurassic World Dominion. We're still talking about Bruno. The song We Don't Talk About Bruno from the animated Disney adventure Encanto is #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart for a 3rd week. And the Encanto soundtrack is #1 on the Billboard 200 album chart for a 5th week. And happy birthday, Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, is 68 today, while Emmy-winning The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel star Alex Borstein is 51. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
If you meet the height requirement.
And the time is 4:58 and about 44 degrees out there.
Still ahead on GMSA, the very latest on the situation in Ukraine this morning and how the U.S. is responding.
And a quick look at the roads with TransGuide this morning. There's a look there at Highway 281 and held around, looking pretty quiet overall, and also there at Highway 90. We'll be checking in with Stephen Cavazos very soon.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
The United States is closing its embassy in Ukraine's capital as the threat of war grows. I'm Mike Ajachi reporting in Washington. Coming up, could diplomacy still be reached?
And taking a look outside with live cam this morning, we are starting in the mid-40s, 44 to be exact right now. Kind of cool, but not as cold as it was yesterday morning.
And more on that coming up, and potentially good news on that ever-tense Russia-Ukraine situation still ahead in this half hour. Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, the 15th.
Thanks for joining us. Hope you survived Valentine's Day and everything went okay. Everybody remembered what they were supposed to do yesterday.
I hope so. It was sure a beautiful day, and I saw a lot of people out and about yesterday. I took the day off, but back to work, back at them this morning, and we're starting out 44 degrees.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, you know, cool, but not as cold as it was yesterday, and still looking forward to a beautiful day, Mike.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. We will have a few more clouds around here, and throughout the day, the humidity, it'll still be lower than when you really start to feel it, but you're going to notice that it's going to be going up throughout the day, and that's going to help with some clouds. 44 is mentioned. Dew points at 40, that bottom number, and with those numbers being close to each other and no wind really to speak of, there is the chance for some fog around the area this morning. We're going to make it up into the low 70s later on today, and again, a few clouds hanging around here. The aquifer in yesterday's reading did drop down 0.4 of a foot, and the allergens, remember over the weekend, we had that big surge of mountain cedar that came in. Well, that just almost went completely away. Mold and mountain cedar both on the low side. Of course, the latest update on that's going to be coming out just after 7 o'clock this morning. As far as visibility, we're starting to see just a hint of that fog there around Pleasanton. That's the only spot reporting anything, but that's just again, a little hint of what may be to come later on throughout the rest of the morning. So we, like I said, have to watch that. It's a patch of fog, not quite as cold, still jacket weather. Then you won't need a jacket by later on today. Partly cloudy. We are going to be up in the low to mid 70s today, and then even warmer tomorrow. A lot more humidity is going to be coming on in here. We'll probably deal with a little bit of fog, maybe some mist again tomorrow morning, and a few showers, especially later in the day into tomorrow night, and then overnight into early Thursday morning. Then we get sort of the first of a 1-2 punch of cooler air. It will cool us down on Thursday, and some dry air comes in here, and then we get the real surge of cold air coming in here. So we are looking at a couple of more freezes by Friday morning as well as Saturday morning. Look ahead to the weekend coming up in a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos. Good morning, sir. Anything going on?
Hey, good morning, Mike. Well, I'd say Tuesday traffic off to a pretty tranquil start. Not a lot of folks out there right now, but there are some. Let's go ahead and take a closer look with TransGuide and see how the morning is shaping up. Bringing the camera in a little bit, you can see 1604 at Bandera. We do have very light traffic. Not a lot of vehicles out there this morning. 1604 at Hosman looking pretty quiet from these shots at TransGuide. Haven't spotted any issues just yet, but but keep in mind, these are a few cameras that we're looking at from TransGuide. There are over 200, so we'll be going through those throughout the morning, but make sure that you are driving carefully. Right now, as we take you to the map, we have a pretty quiet start, but I really want to bring your attention up here north of New Braunfels. Now, there was a crash that was reported shortly before 4 this morning. Now, it does look like it's in the southbound lanes of I-35, pardon me, at FM 306. It's not causing issues for drivers that are coming down from New Braunfels or maybe have to travel through there, but either which way, watch out for that. We do know one lane of traffic is at least blocked right now, but we'll watch that closely throughout the morning. Let's take a drive down over here because there was an incident that looks like it cleared out involving a stalled vehicle that was blocking traffic for a short time. This was off Loop 410 westbound, right at Southton Road. That was reported sometime after 4 this morning. Again, it does look like it's cleared out, and right now, as you saw from that map, looks like the lanes are green and wide open, but make sure, of course, you are driving carefully. Now, if you're traveling into San Antonio at this hour and you have to come through any of these communities, right now we're in luck. Green across the board, 25 minutes if you're traveling from Bernie and I-10 eastbound to downtown San Antonio. 281 southbound coming in from Bulverde is just 26 minutes right now, and 25 coming in from 35 in New Braunfels. So it doesn't look like that crash is causing issues for drivers, but keep in mind that it is located north of New Braunfels. So we'll watch it closely and see how that it does impact any inbound times. But right now here in town, things are looking A-OK. We'll talk construction. That's going to be coming up in the next few minutes. Mark, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephen. Warning, the details of this next story are disturbing. A family has filed a lawsuit against a local daycare after they say their 3-year-old daughter was sexually assaulted. On February 9th, Rose Chekalai says his daughter described in detail an employee at the daycare violating her during a diaper change. Now, Chekalai's daughter told her parents about the alleged assault on January 31st. That night, Chekalai filed a report with SAPD and took her for an exam at the Children's Hospital. SAPD confirmed they were investigating but could not share further details because it involves a minor.
She demonstrates into a detail of how a person would penetrate something.
On February 9th, the director of the Pinnacle Kids Academy sent parents a letter, and in that letter, the daycare says, quote, "We have found absolutely no evidence to suggest that the claims by the family are true," end quote. It goes on to say the employee named in the lawsuit has been placed on paid leave while an investigation is underway. A representative for Pinnacle Kids Academy denied our request to speak because of the ongoing investigation.
The first day of early voting is in the books. More than 5,800 people cast their ballot in Bexar County for the March primaries. The big race on the ballots for Bexar County Judge. Former District Judge Peter Sakai is running as Democrat. He says when it comes to Bexar County Jail, it might be time to talk about an increase in pay for deputies.
I think the big issue there is the work conditions and the compensation for those deputies. We can't have them quitting and going over to the city of San Antonio or to other departments that are going to pay them more money after we train them. I think that's the big issue that I saw.
There are several more candidates running for Bexar County Judge. You can find more information about the race on KSAT.com. Well, more developments in the high-stakes tensions with Russia over Ukraine. According to the New York Times this morning, Russia says it has started to pull back some of its forces, even though others are continuing their military drills.
ABC's Ika Jachi is in Washington with more.
This morning, the United States taking preliminary steps while the threat of war between Russia and Ukraine intensifies. Russia's defense ministry says it's pulling some of its troops back. U.S. officials have yet to verify any Russian troop movements. The U.S. temporarily shutting down its embassy in Kyiv and moving diplomats hundreds of miles away to western Ukraine. It's also telling Americans in neighboring Belarus to leave immediately. And overnight, nearly 5,000 American paratroopers at Fort Bragg spending Valentine's Day preparing for deployment to Poland as part of a larger mission to support NATO allies.
I'm hoping to achieve peace. At the end of the day, that's what we want, peace.
The Pentagon saying Russia could move with little or no warning, Today, Russia's parliament will vote on whether to recognize Russian-backed rebel areas of Ukraine. ABC's James Longman in Moscow with what this critical vote means.
If it happens, it could lay the groundwork for war. If it gets delayed, well, that might suggest Russia is backing down.
Russia still signaling a possibility for diplomacy. Its foreign minister says negotiations with the West were far from exhausted and should continue.
We have not seen that de-escalation. We don't yet know that President Putin has made a decision. That is why we think diplomacy continues to be viable, but we need to see de-escalation in order for that diplomacy.
In another sign of rising tension, the United States has announced it will offer up to $1 billion in loan guarantees to help Ukraine's economy. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
But again, the important footnote this morning, now multiple reports that Russian troops positioned near the border with Ukraine will begin returning to their bases after completing military exercises, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense.
And time now, 5:09 and 44 degrees for now.
Up next, we'll check out how the U.S. is doing at the Winter Olympics.
And taking a look outside with live cam, we're at 44 degrees right now. A little chilly, but not too bad. Looking forward to another beautiful day.
5:13, welcome back and good morning. Now to Beijing, a number of women's events in which Team USA is looking to up the medal counts.
ABC's Morgan Norwood has the big moments.
There's a first time for everything, and when it comes to the women's alpine downhill ski event, Michaela Schifrin was hoping to be the first and the fastest. After failing to finish her first two events at the Winter Games, Schifrin returning to the snow and racing downhill, finishing with the 11th fastest result at the time of her completion. This was her first time competing in this event. From skiing to snowboarding, Anna Gasser of Austria taking gold in the women's snowboarding big air competition. On the ice, Team USA's Madison Hubble and Zachary Donahue dancing for bronze in the mixed free dance event. And staying on the ice, Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva can compete in the women's single event, even after she tested positive for doping. The Court of Arbitration for Sport ruling against the Olympic officials' request to suspend the 15-year-old gold medal favorite. Among its reasons, that Valieva is a, quote, protected person due to her age, and that it's not her fault the test results arrived in the middle of the games. The news affecting not only the Russians, but also Team USA, who will not be able to go home with their silver medals. Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Los Angeles.
All right, here's the latest medal count. Like a lot of leaderboards, they rank it by gold medals. So right now, Norway's still sitting in first with 12 golds and 26 overall medals, according to this board. The USA coming in third with 7 golds, 6 silvers, and 4 bronzes.
Very good. And time now, 5:14 and 44 degrees for now.
Details on a web browser that now allows emoji-only web addresses.
If you haven't tried Dawn Power Wash Dish Spray, what are you waiting for? It's Dawn's fastest and easiest way to clean everyday dishes. On simple messes, just spray, wipe, and rinse. On tough messes, its spray-activated suds have 5 times faster grease cleaning power to break down grease without water. Plus, its targeted spray cleans even hard-to-reach places better. So, replace your dish soap with Dawn Power Wash and spray your dishes clean.
Aleve X. It's fast, powerful, long-lasting relief with a revolutionary rollerball design. Because with the right pain reliever, life opens up. Aleve it and see what's possible.
Lactate is 100% real milk, just without the lactose, so you can enjoy it even if you're sensitive to dairy. So anyone who says lactate isn't real milk is also saying Mabel here isn't a real cow. And she really hates that.
In today's Tech Bites, evidence that Apple could be releasing new Mac computers soon. Online tech reports say Apple has registered 3 new Mac computers with a regulatory body overseas. The news comes ahead of Apple's virtual event next month. Instagram is introducing a new feature. You can now like someone's story without sending them a DM. The like will show up in the person's viewer sheet instead. Instagram says it allows users to send some love without cramming inboxes and cluttering the interface. Finally, you can now create an emoji-only web address. A company is selling identifying URLs with strings of emojis instead of standard domains in the web address bar. Several music artists are already using them. Something like heartshapedeyes.com or Beyonce might want to save the B's for the beehive. Those are your Tech Bites. Have a great day.
Time check, just about what is 5:19.
And it looks like there are flashing lights out there at Highway 151. Let's go ahead and check in with Stephen Cavazos.
You know, still very early, but unfortunately, we're starting to see these crashes popping up here on our map and also on the TransGuide cameras. Let's take a closer look. State Highway 151 at Loop 410 East is a view from TransGuide, and things are not looking good out there. And right now, from what we've been able to see from this camera view, is that traffic is getting by using only one lane. Of course, you're seeing first responders out there as well. And of course, as we continue to watch this, it does look like there's a slight backup there as they're working to clear this scene up. So hopefully that will get resolved soon and that those drivers are okay. But right now, let's go ahead and take you to the map and pinpoint where it's at, because it's been listed and reported here off State Highway 151 eastbound near Loop 410. Again, very early where we're not seeing big delays with drivers, but we are seeing that traffic was slowing down a bit in that TransGuide camera. Unfortunately, not the only issue. Let's take a drive over here to 35 because we have that crash we told you about earlier, which is north of New Braunfels off I-35 southbound at FM 306, not causing causing issues for drivers that are coming southbound. But again, something to be on the lookout for if you have to head through New Braunfels a little bit later this morning. Let's take a drive a little bit further up because there is some road work that also started overnight here off 35. Again, this started tonight and we'll be wrapping up on February 19th. So we've still got a few days to go. It's an overnight deal. Some road work that will be starting at 8 in the evening and wrapping up in 5 in the morning. Keep in mind, this will be a double main lane closure in both directions from the North Watson Bridge to south of the Conrads Bridge. So something we will watch closely. But other than that, we push out of the map and show you that we're still in good shape as we take a wider view of things. Just those crashes that we're going to continue to keep a close eye on. And as always, make sure you do the same and watch out for first responders.
Thank you, Stephen. If you listen carefully, Mike will sing us Moon River.
Appropriate.
I'll spare everybody that. It is a gorgeous picture out there this morning. And this was from a couple of nights ago on Valentine's evening, from last night, as a matter of fact. I thought it was Valentine's Eve. But the moon is not quite full yet. It's going to be technically full tomorrow. However, look right above that banner. There we can see it. We're going to be watching that set throughout the rest of the morning. It's an absolutely gorgeous picture. Obviously, we do have some clear skies as of right now, and 44 degrees here in town. Much milder than what it was yesterday, about 10 to 15 degrees milder than where we were yesterday, and that's pretty much across the board. Close to freezing there around Rio Medina. Maybe in your backyard it's going to be touching freezing there. 37 at Port SA, and then these numbers, dew points, measure moisture in the atmosphere, are very, very close to the actual air temperature. So we've got very high relative humidity, and with those clear skies with light wind, we could see some fog to form up. There's just a hint of it around Pleasanton as of right now, but as the morning rolls on, we'll have to watch out for that. And as the wind out of the southeast continues to pull in some of this moisture, now this is throughout the rest of the afternoon, but we'll continue with this flow or start this flow this morning. So that extra humidity, again, can lead to some fog. Not that you're really going to notice the humidity today, maybe just a kind of a hint at it, but especially overnight and into tomorrow morning, we're probably going to be seeing more patchy fog and or some mist or drizzle, and the humidity keeps going up throughout the day. Tomorrow, we do have drier air, which is going to be coming on in here, and that will be on Thursday. Now, before that gets here, we do have a chance for a couple of showers. I wouldn't get really excited about rain chances. First of all, today, a few more clouds are going to be building on in here from the east and southeast especially, and then more clouds, basically cloudy skies tomorrow. A couple of showers going to try and develop in the overnight hours early on Thursday, and then those are going to be kind of clearing on out of here as that drier air moves on in here. Then in behind that, we'll sort of get the surge of the colder air coming in here. So it's sort of a 1-2 punch, if you will, with this next front that moves on through. 65 today at noon, partly cloudy skies. Got to watch out for some fog this morning. Then a high temperature today up to 73. So we'll be about 6-7 degrees above normal. And then tomorrow, very, very warm in the morning. We stay in the upper 50s. Mist, a little bit of fog is going to be possible. A couple of showers, especially later on in the day. We'll hit 76 degrees. 68 on Thursday with some drier air. Then the real cold air moves on in here. So down right around freezing Friday morning as well as Saturday morning. And we're setting up for another beautiful weekend.
Oh, we sure are. Not bad at all. And then President's Day on Monday.
Yes. Yeah, long 3-day weekend looks pretty good.
Yeah, I like the afternoon temperatures. you know, it pays off to have a cold morning and then a nice afternoon.
It's not going to be as perfect as yesterday. You can probably smell the humidity a little bit more by this afternoon, especially tomorrow morning, too.
Okay, well, watch out for that then. Okay. Thank you, Mike.
524, about 44 degrees.
And up next in your morning spotlight, a look at the first The Lord of the Rings of Power teaser.
Today's entertainment report includes movie, music, and streaming news.
Here's CNN's David Daniel with the Hollywood Minute.
There's wonders in this world beyond our wandering.
Amazon Studios has released the first teaser trailer for The Lord of the Rings of Power. The series is set in the Second Age of Middle-earth, long before the events of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. The 8-episode first season premieres September 2nd, and a second season has already been greenlit.
And this is Anderson .Paak, and together we are Silk Sonic.
Silk Sonic has returned to Fortnite. Players can style like the duo with all new outfits, listen to their new in-game radio station, and compete in a tournament for Silk Sonic-themed prizes. Next year's Oscars red carpet could include you. The Motion Picture Academy is teaming with Twitter. They're encouraging movie fans to use the hashtag OscarsFanFavorite to vote for their favorite film of the year, whether or not it's nominated for Best Picture. The film with the most votes will be recognized on the Oscars telecast, and 3 lucky voters will serve as presenters at the 2023 Oscars. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
528, about 43 degrees.
And still ahead, Tesla issues another recall for some of its vehicles, but this time it's for a rather interesting problem.
Plus why that QR code commercial during the Super Bowl proved to be a little too popular for the company who produced it.
And do you have dry, irritated eyes, headaches, even blurry vision? Well, you may be suffering from digital eye strain. Ahead on GMSA at 6, we're going to tell you what you can do about it.
Making headlines this morning as tensions remain between Russia and Ukraine, how the situation could drive up prices for goods here at home.
And taking a look outside with live cam, it's a dress in layers kind of day again. Mike says even some humidity might be sneaking in.
And good morning to you. It is Tuesday, February 15th, and we saw the moon just shining right over the airport this morning.
Yeah, it looks beautiful out there. I guess you can take a romantic early morning walk at 5:30 a.m. if you wanted to.
If you're both early risers,
Right.
I guess you could, right?
Yeah, sure.
Why not beat the morning rush on the romantic walking? So
continue the romance of Monday into Tuesday.
That's
every
right.
single day. Why does it just have to be one day, right? You can see the glow, and unfortunately that banner's right in the way there, but we're going to continue to watch the moon set. It's technically not full yet tomorrow, but obviously it is gorgeous out there. 44 degrees, dew point's at 40, so these numbers are getting close together, dew point and air temperature, and that means relatively high humidity. No wind to speak of, and we've got some clear skies, and so that is setting the stage for the chance for some fog. We just really dropped down visibility down there around Beeville, so some of this is going to try and creep a little further inland as the morning rolls on. So we'll just have to watch out for that. Mold and Mountain Cedar are both on the low side. Mountain Cedar dropped down a whole bunch from what it was over the weekend. 65 at noon today, 73 for a high temperature. We will have partly cloudy skies. We're going to continue to see some of those clouds try and move on in here from the southeast throughout the day. Plus, it is going to be very breezy, 15, 25 mile per hour winds, kind of gusty, again, out of the southeast, pulling in more of that humidity. That will continue overnight and into tomorrow. We do have small rain chances tomorrow late into early Thursday. Wouldn't get really excited about that, but we've got another pretty decent front moving on through here. Will we hit freezing? Details coming up in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos. Had some flashing lights last half hour. Still going on?
It's still going on, Mike. Unfortunately, the scene here at State Highway 151 at Loop 410 East has not improved. And I was just watching this scene actually just right now from the TransGuide cameras. It does look like a few of those folks with TxDOT Heroes are out there working to help clear up this scene. Keep in mind, they're out there on the highway to clear this up and to make the roads a safer place. So we want to make sure the drivers are giving them plenty of room to navigate and get everything situated here. Obviously, not sure how many cars cars were involved in this situation. But again, make sure that you're driving carefully whenever you see those flashing lights out there. Take it slow out on the roads. That's the best way to go. Now, let's go ahead and bring you to the map because we are seeing a slight buildup there in those eastbound lanes of State Highway 151 near 410, where that crash has been reported. So it's not improving. In fact, we're seeing it get a little bit worse when it comes to that traffic slowing down there. So keep in mind right now, we're seeing that cars are getting through using only one lane, but we are also seeing that slow down. So that's good if we want to make sure the first responders get the scene cleared up. But either which way, if you have plans to get somewhere downtown, you may want to look for a different route right now. Let's take a drive up over here. We do have some progress, so I'm not seeing this crash off I-35 southbound at FM 306 on the KSAT website anymore. Now, just make sure that you're driving carefully. This was located on the southbound lane, so again, right at 306, but not causing problems. Wider look at the map does show, thankfully, at 534, we are in decent shape as we're getting the day going. And if your travels are going to take you right here through San Antonio, well, we have those inbound times this morning. I-10 westbound from Seguin right now, 29 minutes. 22 if you're traveling in from Livonia to downtown on 87. And right now, if you're traveling from Floresville, just 28 minutes right now. But that's not the concern for us here. Right now, it's going to be this crash off State Highway 151. We're going to watch it closely and give you all the updates as the morning does go on. Mark, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephen. Gas, homes, and cars could soon cost you even more.
Supply chain issues have led to price increases already. And as CNN's Amy Kiley reports, even though Russia says it's withdrawing some troops this morning, the situation might have you paying even more.
The forces the Russians have massed, they could launch at any point.
Ukraine might be far away, but a further Russian invasion there would probably cost you money here. That's because it's not so easy to export goods from a war zone. Here are 4 ways a Russian attack on Ukraine could affect you financially. 1, you might have to pay more for gas. Russia is the world's second largest producer of oil. Prices are already spiking. Some analysts say conflict in Ukraine could send them over $100 a barrel. Prices haven't been that high in 7 years. 2, global food prices could increase. Russia is the world's top exporter of wheat. Ukraine produces wheat and corn.
If any conflict which disrupts those flows will help to only tighten agricultural markets quite significantly.
3, you might have to pay more in interest on your next loan. The Federal Reserve is already hinting it'll raise interest rates. Increased inflation could add to its motivation.
This is not a good situation. We have to reassure people that we're going to defend our inflation target and we're going to get inflation back to 2%.
4, you might take a hit to your stock portfolio. Markets fell Monday when the U.S. said it would close its embassy in Ukraine. Investors know the world economy is connected.
The whole world has become dependent on Russian petro money. We're all going to have a fundamental rethink of whether or not the price is worth it to be so dependent on Russian money.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is suing Facebook parent company Meta. The lawsuit claims the social media giant has been unlawfully collecting biometric data on Texans for commercial purposes without their informed consent. Paxton's lawsuit claims Facebook has been storing millions of biometric identifiers from photos and videos that people upload to its service. Biometric identifiers can be retina scans, voice prints, or a record of hand and face geometry.
A furniture guru in Houston now out of a large amount of cash after losing a Super Bowl bet. Jim Mattress Mac traveled to Louisiana to make the largest Super Bowl bet in history, nearly $10 million. Now, Mac says he and his wife watched the game in Houston with about 70 veterans dealing with PTSD and suicidal tendencies. Mac said he had faith that the Cincinnati Bengals were going to pull it off until the last few plays. And even though he lost, he says to see all the brave soldiers rebuilding their lives, it makes losing a football game seem very minuscule.
Authorities in Arizona have arrested a man accused of stealing a dinosaur claw worth $25,000. Tucson police say 39-year-old Christopher Thomas stole the fossil from a vendor at a gem show back on January 30th. Then a week later, police say Thomas tried to sell the dinosaur claw to another vendor in the area, but that person recognized the item and alerted police. Thomas has been charged with trafficking stolen property. The claw is now back in Colorado with its owner. 5:38, about 43 degrees.
And still ahead, a closer look at the company behind that mysterious QR code Super Bowl ad and how the commercial helped crash its website.
The next, Elon Musk blaming Fun Police for the latest Tesla recall of a feature that makes fart and goat noises.
And taking a look outside with live cam, we're starting your day at 43 degrees. You'll still need a jacket or a sweater or something this morning, but we won't need it later on. We'll be right back. And welcome back. It's 5:41 in your morning consumer headlines. The IRS says Americans are already starting to receive their tax refunds. The federal agency released statistics showing it has received nearly 17 million returns as of February 4th. That's on top of the backlog of 2020 returns the IRS is busy working through. Now, it says nearly 13 million tax returns have been processed. The average refund has been around $2,200. The IRS began accepting returns on January 24th. Americans have until April 18th to file their income tax returns.
Okay, remember, I'm just the messenger here in this story. Tesla is facing another recall, one that owner Elon Musk is blaming on the fun police. More than 500,000 vehicles need to have adjustments made to the boombox feature. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is not amused that it allows drivers to play sounds like a bleeding goat or a fart noise on an external speaker. Federal officials say it's a safety issue for pedestrians who might not interpret those sounds as a proper warning. You think? The affected vehicles are 2020 through 2022 Model S, X, and some Model Ys, but also applies to some earlier Model 3s. Tesla will release a firmware update to disable that feature.
That's funny.
And that's about all we have to say about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Time now, 5:42 and 43 degrees for now.
Hey, up next, remember that super strange Super Bowl ad with the floating QR code? I know it got my attention. Why that ad proved to be way more popular for the company than they were prepared for. You probably saw what some are calling one of the weirdest Super Bowl commercials ever.
But CNN's Jeannie Mose reports it was so popular it caused the system to crash.
Were you one of those people chasing a QR code around your TV screen during the Super Bowl, even getting down on your knees? Or maybe like this 95-year-old grandma, you were saying, "What is that?"
Did you get it?
No. Did you?
No, I'm filming you getting it.
Or maybe you were at a Super Bowl party with guests who rooted for the code more than for the Rams or the Bengals. It zipped around the screen for 60 seconds. A nod to the old bouncing DVD screensaver that became a meme, even ending up on The Office.
There's this cube on the screen, and it bounces around all day, and sometimes it looks like it's heading right into the corner of the screen, and then at the last minute it hits a wall and bounces away.
But where's Waldo?
But this QR code commercial was for the cryptocurrency trading company Coinbase. And if your phone captured the code, you were supposed to get an offer for $15 in free Bitcoin for signing up. But a lot of folks got this instead. We're having connection issues. Others got planned maintenance in progress. What Coinbase apparently didn't plan for was this. We saw over 20 million plus hits on our landing page in 1 minute. This volume led to us temporarily throttling our systems. For some, someone else complimented the big brain of the guy who came up with that ad. But a critic tweeted the company should have saved the $7 million ad cost and spent it on your servers. Actually, 60 seconds probably cost at least $13 million. But who's counting when fans are cheering a QR code like it's a QB scoring a touchdown? Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
Good
Even the dog.
Even the dog. And here we are talking about it 2 days later. I'd say they got their money's worth, right?
I think so. Their name's out there.
Plus, there's that saying, right? There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, not in this case. I think
No, I mean, they'll work out the server issues in the end, so.
And then people will come back to them.
Mission accomplished. They will say, money well spent.
Yeah, let's go ahead and check in with Stephen Cavazos. Did you try the QR code?
You know, it's funny. My friend and I were thinking, we're not going to buy into this. We're not going to do this. And then as, you know, the commercial was near its end, we did it, but I'll tell you that's my favorite story of the day.
Did your link work, or was it?
I did, but I didn't. I just was like, oh, this is for something with Bitcoin. Never mind. I'm just gonna exit out of this and continue watching the game. So
you didn't get your $15 in Bitcoin?
Well, it looks like it would have been an issue. right?
Yeah.
So, hey, but
shared with us? No, I'm kidding.
I think there's an even way to split that between 4. We'll figure it out. Tacos, right? All right. If you have to head out the door in the next few moments to get tacos, let's take a closer look at TransGuide, because right now the roads have been a little problematic, but thankfully some of those issues we told you about earlier have cleared out. And right now we're just seeing some quiet roads and just a few early birds out there getting their day started early with us. But right now, 410 at Starcrest, you can see just light traffic there. Bringing you right to the map. We did have this problem here at State Highway 151 eastbound at 410, where there was a buildup of traffic. Just check the TransGuide camera, so it does look like our first responders were able to clear that scene out, and it looks like it's not causing issues for anyone that's trying to travel through that in the next few moments. So some good news there. And as a quick reminder, let's take a drive up here to I-10, because if you were with us last week, you remember we told you about this utility work. Now, that started on Monday, on February 7th. That's going to be wrapping up on Friday, so we're getting closer to that. But keep in mind, it does start at 9 in the morning, and 4 in the afternoon is when it wraps up. There will be a single right lane closure on the eastbound frontage road at UTSA Boulevard. I see a slight buildup there as the morning does go on, but nothing too drastic. But again, the good news is it'll be wrapping up this week. Wider look at the map, that bird's eye view does show lots of green, and we love to see it. And if you have to head out the doors in the next few moments, or the door that is, you're going to see it as well. Open lanes there, 37 at Houston. We'll continue to watch roads closely, but as always, do the same.
Thank you, Stephen.
How do you run a Super Bowl ad not plan for?
Good point.
Maybe they were ready and they just didn't expect that much traffic.
I was going to say, or maybe that was the plan the whole, all the way.
No, people are talking about it right now, right?
Yeah.
It's good publicity.
Reminded me of the old Magnavox Odyssey game. You're all too young to remember that, I think. It was the very first TV video game.
Like before Pong?
Yep.
Really?
Yep, back in the early 70s. You'd have to hook it up to channel 3 or something on your TV, and you put the little plastic sheets over your screen, so it could be a ping pong table or a tennis court.
I've always said he's a walking Snapple cap. You never know what you're going to get when you open that thing up.
That's cool. I didn't know. Yeah, I was thinking about
we
Pong.
had one.
Cool.
Beep, beep. That was all it did. So
check this out.
Anyway, okay, what a gorgeous picture. Love that shot. Thank you very much for that KSAT Connect shot. And this is another beautiful picture there with the moon that is setting almost. Technically not full till tomorrow, but it is big and bright out there. It is gorgeous in the western sky. 44 right now, 38 Helotes, 35 Rio Medina. Temperatures are up on average 10 to 15 degrees compared to yesterday. And of course, we've got some of this humidity around here. So we're not, at last report, seeing any fog. Now, if you go into a low-lying area, you may run into a little bit. The only spot that was showing up with any fog is down around Beeville as of right now. Temperatures yesterday, that is an erroneous reading there, 85 in Hondo, but we did see readings in the upper 60s, and we're going to get up into the low to mid 70s later on today, and then we'll add to that tomorrow. Then that all comes to an end, kind of in a two-stage process. Today we will see a few more clouds coming in here from the east and from the southeast. They're going to be thickening up overnight. The humidity is going to be coming back in here as well. So we're going to be seeing more mist and patchy fog around tomorrow. A couple of showers are going to be possible tomorrow, and then especially tomorrow night. Again, just scattered about at best, 20% chance of rain, and that's kind of being, I think, a little on the generous side, and that's going to be into Thursday morning. Then everything's going to start to clear on out. We will see some sunshine later on in the afternoon Thursday. We get an initial push of some cooler air coming on in here, but especially drier air moves on in. That's going to be Wednesday night into Thursday. Then the really cold air comes in. So you see how the dew points are low and then get even lower over the weekend. So by Friday and Saturday mornings, we're actually looking at the chance for freeze here in town. It's going to be close to it, obviously, in parts of the hill country. Here's what's going on with the upper level steering winds. We've got kind of this west to east pattern there, so kind of a zonal air pattern, which puts temperatures at or slightly above normal for us. The low develops there, helps to pull some of the humidity in, but this thing's just not going to get right on top of us, so we'll just kind of get a glancing blow from it. That's why rain chances are not all that great. Then we get the colder air coming on in here for Friday, Saturday. Good looking weekend. Another low is going to try and develop out there to the west of us, and it's just going to sort of not do much of anything, but we'll have another one trying to come on in here for the middle part of next week with some rain chances, but still not looking real encouraging for rain even next week. 65 degrees today at noon, partly cloudy skies. We will continue to see the humidity coming up. It's not going to be oppressively humid, but you'll sort of notice it later on this afternoon. 73 for a high temperature. Definitely more humidity overnight. Mist and drizzle tomorrow, 58 degrees starting off, so very mild start. That small chance for a couple of showers late in the day tomorrow. It's going to be breezy today, windy tomorrow, breezy really the next few days through the rest of the week. Some early morning showers Thursday. We clear out, cooler and then colder. 34 Friday morning, 32 Saturday morning. That's here in town. Obviously freezing the hill country. Good looking weekend is setting up.
The afternoons of the weekend look good.
Yeah, the morning's chilly and nice and cool in the afternoon. So
thank you, Mike. 5:54, about 43 degrees.
Let's look at your winning lotto numbers. We have pick 3, 594, Fireball 3, daily 4, 3, 4, 6, 7, Fireball 7.
Cash 5 numbers 14, 23, 29, 31, 34. Texas 2-step 7, 10, 24, 26. And a bonus ball of 25. And if you're just now waking up, I'll say Powerball in a lower tone. 16, 25, 27, 49, 55, Powerball 17, Power Play 3. We'll be right back.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, we have the latest on the situation in Ukraine and the mixed messages from Russia. This morning, they are building up troops, but also hinting at a diplomatic way out of the possible crisis. Our reporters are live in Ukraine and Russia this morning. That and so much more coming up right here on GMA.
Just in case you missed it, there are several places giving away free N95 masks in and around town. Our web team put together a list of places where you can get yours. Just click on the article right now on KSAT.com. Still ahead on GMSA, a violent brawl in Houston between nearly a dozen people, mostly teens, sends 2 people to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. We've got some details. And TransGuide right now, a few more cars out there as we wait for the sun to come up on your Tuesday, February 15th. You're watching GMSA.
The United States is closing its embassy in Ukraine's capital as the threat of war grows. I'm Mike Ajachi reporting in Washington. Coming up, could diplomacy still be reached?
Scary moments for a motorcyclist involved in a crash overnight on the northeast side of San Antonio. We'll tell you if he was hurt.
These are our children, and this foolishness has to stop.
In Houston, a little girl fights for her life, and the reward to find the person who shot her is increasing. Those details ahead.
And do you remember the future? Well, a fan favorite car company making a comeback and chooses San Antonio for its new world headquarters.
That's pretty cool. And taking a look outside with live cam, beautiful shot there. Again, we get to see the moon. It's 6 a.m. and 43 degrees to start your day.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
And a good morning to you. It is Tuesday, February 15th.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Hope you had a wonderful day yesterday. The weather definitely cooperated.
You can probably smell a little bit more humidity out there this morning. There probably is a little bit of moisture on the outside of your car as you head out to the driveway.
And in places, a couple of hints of fog, too.
Okay.
So we'll just be on the lookout for it over the next couple of hours. Obviously, visibility out there by the airport is fantastic. Looking at that moon, which technically is full tomorrow, but oh my goodness, it looks like a huge spotlight sitting up there in the sky. Hint of fog, New Braunfels, a little more than a hint there in Pleasanton, 4 miles visibility. Nothing too bad right now, but as is usually the case, the fog sometimes does get thicker, and will get thicker as we approach sunrise and just after that. So again, be on the lookout, especially going down to the southeast. Beeville now at a 1/4 mile visibility, so not widespread, but just in those spots. The allergens, mold, mountain cedar, both on the low side. Mountain cedar really dropped down from the previous day, what it was over the weekend, about 4,600 plus. 43 degrees this morning, so temperatures will be pretty steady because we do have, relatively speaking, some high humidity out there. Humidity is going to continue to come up throughout the day on those southeasterly winds, which are going to be pretty gusty later on today, about 15, 20, 25 miles per hour, and then a high temperature up to 73. So we will be on the above normal side with a few of those clouds hanging around here, and the humidity is going to continue to get pumped in overnight. We'll be dealing with some more mist and fog tomorrow morning, a lot of clouds, and then a couple of showers. Rain chances just are not great at all, a few of them here and there, and that's going to be tomorrow night into Thursday. Then another front. What that does for the weekend, that's coming up in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos, what's the latest, sir?
Hey, all is well, Mike. Let's take a look right now at our roadways now that we are about 2 minutes after 6 this morning. There's I-10 at Woodlawn, 35 at St. Mary's. The only difference that we're seeing now is that looks like like there are a few more folks waking up with us and getting out on the roadways, but thankfully there's not going to be issues that they're going to encounter at this hour. There were a few in the last hour where we saw a few crashes and even some incidents involving some stalled vehicles, but those were cleared out rather quickly. And right now, 37 at Houston, you can see 37 at Southeast Military. Things are calm as we're inching and driving closer to that morning rush hour. But just again, take it easy out there. Although our map doesn't show any delays, we did spot some crashes here off State Highway 151 near 410 and a little bit north of New Braunfels that again have cleared out, and talked about a stalled vehicle here off of 410, but no problems in those areas or anywhere else right now on the roadways. So we're in good shape. And if you're traveling into San Antonio, that's the same goes for that. Right now, 28 minutes Pleasant Drive from Pleasanton on 37 northbound, 19 minutes if you're traveling in from 90 and Castroville, and 16 minutes traveling from 35 northbound and Lytle. So no delays there, and the roads are looking calm and normal. If it stays this way, we'll talk some construction spots. That's going to be coming up in the next few minutes. Mark, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephen. We have an update to a story we've been following since this past weekend. A homicide suspect that led police down in Dilley on several chases has died. He's identified as Fabian Garza. Police say he's accused of killing Melissa Escobar in Pearsall Saturday night. Officers in Dilley confronted Garza Sunday morning. He was involved in several car chases and 3 standoffs with officers. In the final standoff, police say Garza turned the gun on himself. He was then taken to a hospital. Officers now say he died from those injuries.
Authorities in Houston are on a mission to help find the shooter who critically injured a 9-year-old girl in a road rage shooting.
Ashanti Grant is in a coma fighting for her life as a reward to find the person who shot her climbs to $30,000.
Taisha Walker has a story from our sister station, KPRC in Houston.
These are our children, and this foolishness has to stop.
Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, alongside Police Chief Troy Finner and the family of Ashanti Grant, is asking the community to band together to get justice for Ashanti.
What really crushed me is I found out that my niece was sitting in the back watching cartoon as this happened.
Ashanti's parents did not speak, but surveillance video captured their painful cries for help as their 9-year-old daughter suffered a gunshot wound to her head last Tuesday night. The family of 4 was heading to a grocery store after 9 p.m. when they experienced road rage on the northbound lanes of the Southwest Freeway near the Beltway. A driver in a white 2017 GMC Denali Sierra pickup, similar to this photo, fired into the family's SUV, hitting Ashanti.
Until people know that they are going to be caught and punished for what they are doing and that we are putting in deterrence features, then it's going to continue.
Mayor Turner says he plans to work with TransStar, Houston Public Works, and the Houston Police Department to utilize cameras to record traffic on Houston streets and roadways to help the city get a better look at criminal activity.
Nobody's going to use that surveillance equipment to violate anybody's rights.
And that was Taisha Walker reporting. In your other morning headlines, cleanup is underway after a cargo train derails in Colorado. 7 lumber cars went off the tracks on Saturday, with 3 of them plunging into a river. The rail cars were empty at the time. Nobody was hurt in that incident. Cleanup got underway immediately, with crews using tractors to haul the rail cars out of the river. Still no word on what led to the cars derailing.
Federal prosecutors have rested their case against 3 former Minneapolis police officers charged with violating George Floyd's civil rights. The prosecution rested Monday after nearly 3 weeks of testimony from bystanders, doctors, police officers, and others. J. Alexander King, Thomas Lane, and Tu Tao are accused of depriving Floyd of medical care while he was handcuffed and subdued by Officer Derek Chauvin. King and Tao are also accused of failing to intervene. Tao and King told the judge they plan to testify. An attorney for Lane said earlier his client would testify, but now says they'll discuss it further.
A federal hate crimes trial of 3 Georgia men convicted of Ahmaud Arbery's murder is now underway. Monday, opening statements began after 12 jurors were selected to serve in the trial of father and son Gregory and Travis McMichael and their neighbor William Roddy Bryan. The jury says that they will decide whether the McMichaels and Bryan are guilty of acting out of racial hostility when they chased down and murdered Arbery back in February of 2020. All 3 men are charged with interference with rights and attempted kidnapping. The men are currently serving serving life sentences from their murder convictions in state court back in November.
This morning, more developments in the high-stakes tensions with Russia over Ukraine. According to the New York Times, Russia says it is starting to pull back some of its troops, even though other military drills are continuing. Here's ABC's Ika Jachi.
This morning, the United States taking preliminary steps while the threat of war between Russia and Ukraine intensifies. The U.S. temporarily shutting down its embassy in Kyiv and moving diplomats hundreds of miles away to western Ukraine. It's also telling Americans in neighboring Belarus to leave immediately. And overnight, nearly 5,000 American paratroopers at Fort Bragg spending Valentine's Day preparing for deployment to Poland as part of a larger mission to support NATO allies.
I'm hoping to achieve peace. At the end of the day, that's what we want, peace.
Still, the buildup of Russian troops along Ukraine's border is multiplying. Analysts estimating nearly 150,000 troops. The Pentagon saying Russia could move with little or no warning. Today, Russia's parliament will vote on whether to recognize Russian-backed rebel areas of Ukraine. ABC's James Longman in Moscow with what this critical vote means.
If it happens, it could lay the groundwork for war. If it gets delayed, well, that might suggest Russia is backing down.
Russia still signaling a possibility for diplomacy. Its foreign minister says negotiations with the West were far from exhausted and should continue.
We have not seen that de-escalation. We don't yet know that President Putin has made a decision. That is why we think diplomacy continues to be viable, but we need to see de-escalation in order for that diplomacy.
In another sign of rising tension, the United States has announced it will offer up to $1 billion in loan guarantees to help Ukraine's economy. Ika Jachi, ABC News, Washington.
And the first day of early voting is in the books. More than 5,800 people cast their ballot in Bexar County for the March primaries. A big race on the ballot is Bexar County Judge. And former District Judge Peter Sakai is running as a Democrat and says when it comes to the Bexar County Jail, it might be time to talk about an increase in pay for deputies.
I think the big issue there is the work conditions and the compensation for those deputies. We can't have them quitting and going over to City San Antonio or to other departments that are going to pay them more money after we train them. I think that's the big issue that I saw.
And there are several more candidates running for Bexar County Judge. We'll have their stories later. You can also find more information about this race on KSAT.com.
10 minutes past the hour, 42 degrees.
And straight out of the scene, an 80s science fiction movie, a fan favorite car company plans to make an electric return right here in San Antonio. Details ahead.
And just ahead, we'll tell you about Instagram's new feature that will make your inbox look a little different.
And a look outside with live cam. Kind of cold out there right now, 42 degrees. You will need that jacket, but it will warm up. Prepare for that. We'll be right back.
Topping your morning tech news at 6:14, evidence Apple could be releasing new Mac computers soon. Online reports say Apple's registered 3 new Mac computers with a regulatory body overseas. News comes ahead of Apple's virtual event next month.
Instagram is introducing a new feature. You can now like someone's story without sending them a DM. So the like will show up in the person's viewer sheet instead, and Instagram says it allows users to send some love without cramming inboxes and cluttering the interface.
You can now create an emoji-only web address. A company is selling URLs with strings of emojis instead of standard domains in the web address bar. Several music artists are already using them. Well, a car made famous in the 80s from the popular movie Back to the Future is hoping to make a comeback right here in the Alamo City.
The Delorean Motor Company wants to bring an all-electric vehicle to the city along with hundreds of jobs.
Delorean is back and San Antonio is the future. Everybody has been waiting for this comeback, and the fact that it's going to be an electric vehicle just makes it that much more exciting.
This tells me that people outside San Antonio are choosing to invest in San Antonio.
So in total, the company hopes to bring 450 jobs to our area.
And if everything goes according to plan, Delorean will start production in the next couple of years, which means the hiring process for the new jobs will need to start even sooner.
And from this camera angle, I don't see any DeLoreans on our TransGuide cameras. Not right now.
Are there any accidents, Stephen Cavazos?
No and no. There are some issues, though. Drivers, just be on the lookout because although things look tranquil from these TransGuide cameras, I was looking over a few of them and spotted some things that people, of course, want to be on the lookout for. Right now, though, I-10 at Woodlawn, quiet there. But as we bring you to the map, we do have a stalled vehicle here off US 90 at Ray Ellison. Now, we're starting to see a light buildup there in those eastbound lanes of 90. Now, this is coming into San Antonio from Castroville. So be on the lookout for those stalls because usually around this time, they really start to pop up. So people if experiencing car trouble, make sure we give them plenty of room to get their situations cleared up and make sure that they get to where they need to be on time and safely. Drive up as a quick reminder, we do have some utility work happening a little bit later this morning there off of I-10. Started February 7th, we'll wrap February 18th. This starts from 9 in the morning. We'll be seeing it wrapping up around 4 in the afternoon. Keep in mind a single right lane closure on the eastbound frontage road right there at UTSA Boulevard. Really quick drive up here to 35 as we see this is also going to be taking place some road work that started last night and will continue up until the end of the week. Starts from 8 in the evening to 5 in the morning. It's a double main lane closure in both directions there of the Watson Bridge to the South Conrads Bridge, north of the Watson Bridge, pardon me, to south of the Conrads Bridge. So that will again wrap up on Friday. But wider look at the map as we see we're in good shape as we're inching closer and closer to that morning rush. Just remember to buckle up and be safe, guys.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you. And maybe a lighter jacket, but still something when you head outside for the bus.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the 40s and 30s, so it's still pretty chilly out there. So I have a question coming up for you in just a moment.
For whom?
For us or everybody?
For you.
and I was just remembering an infamous anniversary that's going to be coming up.
Can you give us a hint?
Talk about that in the 7-day. So
okay.
Later on in the 7-day forecast. So we're not talking about the anniversary from last year. Of course, this was the time when we woke up with, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches of snow on the ground. Nothing like that. 43 degrees right now. Watch out for a couple of patches of fog and then 73 for a high temperature. So still a nice big warm up. We gain about 30 degrees throughout the course of the day and we'll have partly cloudy skies, but the humidity is going to start to come in here slightly more. So here is the gorgeous picture of the moon, technically one day from being full. The question is, as is posted here, does the moon make people fall in love or cause them to be crazy in love? We find out on the 14th because this was posted a couple of days ago. So what's your answer, folks?
Just makes them crazy? That wasn't one of the options, was it?
Yeah. Oh, Judah Crick playing crazy not in love? So crazy in love too. So.
How about both?
I never thought about it. I never gave it a thought.
Different for different people.
There's a romantic trio over here. Speaking of the moon, it is just about to set over there in the western sky. Got a lot of clear skies right now. And we do have some fog. Now, visibility is still at 8 miles in New Braunfels, but it's dropped to 1.5 miles down around Pleasanton. So, again, we're having to watch out for some of this fog to form up. It is even thicker around Beeville, 3/4 miles. And we'll continue to watch for some fog to form in the next couple of hours. We are at 41 right now in town. Same thing, Bernie Stage, and 39 right now in Bandera. And the humidity, of course, these dew points, the measure moisture in the atmosphere, the air temperatures are running neck and neck, and that's why with the clear skies and also light wind, a lot of the ingredients to give us some of this fog, so that's what we have to watch out for. Nothing is showing up on the satellite picture as of right now, and once again, there's not really a heck of a lot around the country. There is a big trough which is developing out there to the west of us, and then we've got this flow coming into the Great Lakes, still 15 below. I mean, there's that Arctic air, which is right there along the U.S.-Canadian border in the Great Lakes. Elsewhere, it's not as cold. What we are going to be watching, though, is that low, which will kind of move in our direction. It's not really going to make a beeline for us. It's going to sort of fall apart. It will help to pull in some humidity, but that's what's going to maybe give us a chance for some rain. And I say maybe just because rain chances are 20% at best, and that would be tomorrow into early Thursday. And just kind of a glancing blow from that. A couple of rain chances then further on down the road as well. 65 degrees today at noon. Partly cloudy skies. Humidity is going to continue to kind of come on in here throughout the rest of the day. Not oppressively humid, but you'll notice it more this afternoon. 73 for a high temperature. And then tomorrow we start off really mild, more patchy fog, some mist is possible tomorrow. A couple of showers late, and again, only a 20% chance for a shower or two, and that would be overnight into Thursday morning. 68 Thursday, so cooler and then colder as we go in toward the weekend, down to 32. We'll be flirting with freezing both Friday morning as well as Saturday morning. Next Monday, the 21st. Anybody remember? 1996.
96.
100 degrees.
Oh,
really?
Oh,
yeah.
I don't remember.
Earliest we had just moved here. We have hit that. I had just moved here. I'm
You
sorry.
just moved here.
And the earliest we've ever hit 100. And what was interesting is the month started off with some ice, and then just a week later we had
100
more
degrees.
cold and freezing temperatures.
That was the year. He's mentioned it several times. It was that year.
96. Okay. Wow.
Right. 1996.
100 degrees on the 21st.
I don't remember that.
We remember, and now we try to put it out of our minds. 621, about 42 degrees.
Super Bowl champion LA Rams are celebrating their big win in big fashion. So we're going to take a look at their trip to Disneyland. That's ahead in your GMA First Look.
What can I do with less asthma? With Dupixent, I can do more beginner's yoga. Namaste. Namaste. Surprise parties. Aw, you guys. Dupixent helps prevent asthma attacks. For free! So I can do more of the things I love. Dupixent is not for sudden breathing problems. It's an add-on treatment for specific types of moderate to severe asthma that can improve lung function for better breathing in as little as 2 weeks and can reduce or even eliminate oral steroids. And here's something important. Dupixent can cause serious allergic reactions, including anaphylaxis. Get help right away if you have rash, shortness of breath, chest pain, tingling, or numbness in your limbs. Tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection, and don't change or stop your asthma treatments, including steroids, without talking to your doctor. Are you ready to do more with less asthma? Just ask your asthma specialist about Dupixent.
In this morning's GMA First Look, they went to Disneyland. And GMA was right there with the Super Bowl champions as they celebrated their victory.
Who's more excited to be at Disneyland today, you or your kids?
Our kids, for sure. They're fired up. This is a cool thing for us, but I know my kids are having a blast out there riding some rides right now.
The raw emotions on the field, turning from tears to pure joy.
I feel like a kid with this whole experience right now, man. You just taking it all in, man. It's been truly a long journey to get to this point, so we all blessed to be here, all happy, and get to share this with our family.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll hear much more from these excited champions as they take one very magical victory lap.
This has been incredible. Being the happiest place on earth with all our fans here, just an incredible experience. Thank you guys so much.
With your GMA First Look, I'm Kaylee Hartung, ABC News, Anaheim.
The San Antonio Spurs continue their rodeo road trip last night in Chicago, looking to win their third straight game, this time against the Bulls. DeJounte Murray's been red hot over the past 2 games. However, former Spur DeMar DeRozan ended up scoring 40 points to help lift the Bulls over the Spurs 120-109. The Silver and Black are back in action. They're taking on Oklahoma City tomorrow night, taking on the Thunder. Tip-off set for 7 o'clock.
Oh, how we missed DeMar DeRozan.
Ouch.
Yeah, well, welcome back anyway. Time now 6:26 and 42 degrees for now. We have a lot more heading your way in our next half hour, including new details about the fentanyl crisis, and it's hitting us right here at home. Just ahead, what San Antonio DEA agents say about what they're finding.
Plus, an overnight crash sends a motorcyclist to the hospital. What investigators are saying about how it happened.
A quick look at the roads with Trans Sky. There's a look there at I-10 at Woodlawn. Things are moving there, and they are also moving at I-35 at St. Mary's. We'll be right back.
We have some new information this morning about a woman who was killed in a fire last week. Good morning, I'm Katrina Weber. I'll tell you all about it coming up.
Outside with live cam, the moon is setting. The sun is about to come up on your Tuesday morning. A bit chilly out there. Mike says it'll get even colder in the mornings later this week. And a good morning to you. It's Tuesday, the 15th.
Happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. You have some time to grab coffee. It's only 6:30. Starting off cold, so you may want some warm coffee.
And not a bad idea, but we're due for another decent warm-up today, right, Mike?
Yes, it's going to be warmer today than yesterday, and then you're talking about the mornings, it will get colder, but not before it gets a whole lot warmer. Tomorrow morning especially, it's going to be much, much warmer. I love this picture. We've been watching the moon go down all morning long. It is beautiful out there. Technically not full until tomorrow, but Boy, oh boy, it's just doesn't get any prettier than that. Temperature right now is at 41, 38's the dew point. So these numbers are neck and neck, which means a lot of humidity in the atmosphere. Relative humidity is quite high. We have clear skies. We've got light wind, and those are some of the ingredients for fog. And so Pleasanton is at 1.5 mile visibility right now. New Braunfels at 8 miles. In metropolitan areas, pretty good, but just kind of watch it if you turn a corner into a low-lying area. Beeville at 3/4 mile visibility. So those are the only spots as of right now. But just over the course of the next couple of hours, we'll have to watch out for some of that fog, just very patchy here and there. Mountain Cedar, Mulder, both on the low side. Mountain Cedar dropped down significantly from the what it was on Sunday, up in the 4,600 range around there. Patchy fog. Cold, but not as cold as yesterday. Yesterday we did hit freezing again here in town, so about 10 to 15 degrees warmer across the board. Partly cloudy, mid-70s later on today. Yes, it will be warmer, and you kind of notice more humidity hanging around here this afternoon. It's going to continue to increase later on today as well as overnight into tomorrow. And tomorrow, some mist, drizzle, fog in the morning, a couple of showers late tomorrow. Not a great chance of rain. Much warmer, mid and some upper 70s. Then sort of a two-phase cool down. We get the next front moving on in here. It's going to be somewhat cooler on Thursday. Drier air, then the really cold stuff comes on in here. It looks like a couple of more freezes by Friday morning and Saturday morning. Rest of the weekend forecast coming up. Traffic authorities, Stephen Cavazos. Last time you said everything was all quiet?
Unfortunately, things seem to be popping up now, Mike. We are getting closer to that morning rush, and so that means we are starting to see a few more issues that are presenting themselves out on the roadway. Take a look right now, 37 at Cesar Chavez. Although a lot of traffic is moving through that spot pretty easily, there does appear to be a driver out there that's experiencing some car trouble. Earlier, before Mike tossed over to traffic, there was some flashing lights out there, probably a TxDOT Hero truck working to help that driver out. Not sure what that trouble that they may be experiencing, but hopefully it's minor and they can get to where they need to be safely. But make sure you give them plenty of room to get everything situated there. Really want to bring your attention to the map, because although it does look quiet here at 6:33 in the morning, issues are popping up. Let's go ahead and bring it in for right here off of 35 southbound, right there at Somerset Road. We do have a crash that was reported out there a little bit earlier this morning, not causing trouble for drivers that are heading southbound on 35 just yet, but it's still a little early, so we could probably see that present problems a little bit later as the morning does go on. Drive up here to 410 westbound. Let's talk about what's going on here in those westbound lanes at Blanco. A crash was reported there a little bit earlier as well, and I also saw some flashing lights from the TransGuide cameras. Those flashing lights have left, so hopefully that crashing has cleared out and it's not going to cause any problems for drivers. But no problems there. Let's show you our inbound times, because if you're coming into San Antonio, we're still in luck. Green across the board there with a 24-minute drive time coming in from 87 in LaVerdia. But other than that, we're in great shape right now. Just watch out for whenever you see those flashing lights out there, move over or slow down. That's the law. Guys.
We have new information related to one of 3 deadly fires just last week.
It has to do with a woman who died in her East Side home. Katrina Weber is live near downtown with that story. And Katrina, information that you say comes from the Bexar County Medical Examiner's office.
Well, that's right. It took 5 days, but the ME's office has now identified and released the name of that woman. We learned this morning that she was 91-year-old Jewel Jackson Dotson. We first told you about that fire early last Thursday morning. It happened in the 200 block of Utah Street, not far from South Hackberry. San Antonio firefighters found the whole backside of Dotson's home on fire when they arrived early that morning. A man who lived there with her was able to get out alive, but firefighters told us that he did suffer burns and was taken to a hospital. Crews were not able to reach Dotson in time. They found her dead inside the home later. Investigators figured out that the fire was caused by a space heater that had tipped over. Now, Dotson was the 3rd person to die in a fire last week, and afterward, the fire department did hold a news conference saying that all of these fire deaths were preventable. They also used the opportunity to remind people to be more careful, to be more cautious in their homes. Reporting live near downtown, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you very much, Katrina. New this morning, scary moments for a motorcyclist involved in a crash on the northeast side. Happened just after 1 this morning on the exit ramp of Northeast Loop 410 and I-35. Police said the motorcyclist didn't know if he was hit by another vehicle or just lost control of his bike. He was taken to a hospital and is doing okay.
San Antonio DEA agents say they are seeing large amounts of fentanyl entering our community, and experts say that's alarming because fentanyl is so potent. An amount smaller than a penny or about the tip of a pencil could kill or seriously harm a person. Governor Greg Abbott is expected to hold a press conference today on the crisis. We will cover that on air and online. If you're battling with drug addiction, there is help. You can call 210-729-2273. That's a 24-hour hotline can connect you with resources. We also have more information on our website at KSAT.com.
Some other top stories we're following this morning in Houston. The family of a 9-year-old girl still hospitalized following a road rage shooting is asking for the public's help in finding those responsible for injuring her. Houston's mayor and police chief announced a reward, and the case now increased to $30,000. Ashanti Grant was shot in the head on February 8th as she sat in her family's SUV on the way to a grocery store one night. That's when police say the SUV was shot at by someone in a white GMC Denali pickup that appeared to be racing with another vehicle.
And staying in Houston, 6 teenagers hurt this morning following an after-school brawl at a park. This happened around 3 yesterday afternoon in Katy, just west of Houston. Police say between 11 and 18 people were involved, and at least one knife, baseball bats, and other blunt items were found at that scene. One parent says he was on the phone with his son, who was watching the brawl break out.
And next thing I know, I hear him screaming. They have knives and they're fighting. You know, you're listening to it on a cell phone, you just hear chaos. You can't really distinguish what's being said, but I knew at the moment that it wasn't good, no matter what was going on.
Out of the 6 teens who were hurt, 2 were flown to the hospital with stab wounds. They are listed in critical condition. Harris County Sheriff's deputies are still working to figure out what exactly led up to that brawl.
In North Texas, firefighters staying busy with a 100-acre fire that broke out yesterday in the town of Azle, just northwest of Fort Worth. According to latest reports, the flames are about 40% contained. It's still unclear what sparked that fire.
And we turn now to a criminal case that's straight out of a Hollywood spy movie. A married couple living in the suburbs allegedly tried to sell U.S. nuclear secrets, and now the husband is changing his plea in court. ABC's Rhiannon Alley has more.
This morning, the former U.S. Navy nuclear engineer accused of trying to sell secrets about U.S. submarines has now pleaded guilty. Jonathan Toby and his wife Diana were arrested in October. The pair appearing as normal suburbanites living in a quiet Maryland neighborhood.
It's some of the most closely held technology and the deepest secrets that the U.S. government has.
Neighbors disgusted to hear the duo is now accused of trying to swap top secret information.
I was shocked, very shocked, disappointed that someone would betray the country. Very disappointed.
Toby, who had top security clearance, confessed in a plea hearing yesterday that he sent a package of documents to an undisclosed foreign government in April 2020. The FBI found out, and undercover agents posing as spies from the foreign nation allegedly made a deal with Toby to share the secret information in exchange for $100,000. Investigators say Toby deployed elaborate tricks to conceal data cards while dropping them off, hiding one in a peanut butter sandwich, another disguised in a pack of gum. Officials say Toby admitted that his wife helped him in the foiled plot, something she denies, pleading not guilty. She's facing espionage-related charges after allegedly serving as a lookout, trying to give a foreign government an edge on the United States.
These fast attack submarines, which incorporate a lot of stealth technology, these submarines cost about $3 billion each.
Now, an engineer once entrusted with the nation's top submarine secrets has torpedoed his freedom. Jonathan Toby will likely face 12 to 17 years in prison. No word when his wife is due back in court. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Ukraine might be far away, but a Russian invasion there could cost us money right here at home. One way your wallet might take a hit, you could be paying even more for gas. Russia is the second largest producer of oil in the world, and prices are already spiking. Global food prices could continue to increase because Russia is a top exporter of wheat, and Ukraine produces wheat and corn.
In your other morning headlines, traffic on the Ambassador Bridge, a key link between the U.S. and Canada, is returning to normal after police cleared protesters demonstrating against COVID vaccine rules. But the costs of moving goods over the border are speeding up. One platform, truckstop.com, saw prices jump 44% in the last few weeks.
Bird flu found in a couple of poultry flocks here in the U.S., one in a flock of nearly 250,000 birds in Kentucky at a farm for chicken giant Tyson. The USDA says none of the affected birds will enter the food supply, and the companies have increased biosecurity measures to stop the spread of the disease.
Time now, 6:41 and 42 degrees for now.
You have dry, irritated eyes, headaches, even blurry vision, then you might be suffering from digital eye strain. Just ahead, we'll tell you what you can do about it. 6:45, nearly 2 out of 3 people in the U.S. experience symptoms of digital eye strain.
Digital eye strain happens when you have blurry vision, burning, itching, and tired eyes after using a digital device.
And as you might know by now, too much time on a digital screen can have some long-term consequences on your vision.
I'd say probably around, my estimate would be about 5 hours.
I will say 3-4 hours per day.
TikTok. Yeah. Shamefully. Yeah.
All our electronics may be short-circuiting our vision. Experts say the blue light emitted from these digital screens causes digital eye strain and puts people at greater risk for macular degeneration down the road.
So what can you do to protect your sight? First, move farther away from your screen.
There's only 1/4 of the exposure holding at 2 feet versus 1 foot.
Even moving the screen just 1 inch farther away from your face cuts the blue light exposure by 15%. Also, most devices have a built-in filter that you can turn on and off at certain times.
You can also have a blue light blocker embedded in your glasses lens.
Good advice. Time now, 6:46. Let's go ahead and check in with Stephen Cavazos.
That's what I have. Blue light glasses. They're really helpful. Let's take a look right now on the roadways because we want you to be focused out there without any problems. Right now, things look like they're moving pretty smoothly through 281 at Hildebrand. Not spotting delays there, but there are some issues. Of course, drivers, now at this hour, you're definitely going to want to be aware of because we're seeing some issues, particularly here off of 35 southbound at Somerset Road, where a crash has been reported there, not causing problems in the southbound lanes. But let's take a drive over here where we have a stall off Loop 410 northbound at WW White, and you can see based on our map that yellow does show a slight slowdown in those northbound lanes of 410. So watch out for that. As I mentioned, right now is the hour of stalls because we do have one here off 410 westbound at Blanco. We told you that a crash was reported there a little bit earlier, but it looks like TxDOT has since downgraded that to a stalled vehicle. But nonetheless, make sure you're watching out and check those vehicles because the trend continues over here off 1604 eastbound at Blanco Road. But overall, I'd say this is pretty normal as we're getting close to that morning rush hour. You can see a few more of those icons showing some trouble spots out there on the roadways. Just remember, check those vehicles, be safe out there, and give everyone plenty of room. There's plenty of road for everybody, guys.
Thank you, Stephen.
Stephen. This is a cute picture behind you, Mike.
This is an adorable picture. It's just one of those because and kind of makes your day. Yes, happy Valentine's Day. I love that. Thank you very much for that one. All right. As you saw in some of those TransGuide cameras, the sun is coming up and the moon, we've been watching it all morning long, has now finally set. It's going to be gorgeous coming up tonight. There will be a couple of clouds out there, however. Now, this morning, though, we are dealing with, well, okay, case in point, how things can change in just a couple of minutes. We were down to 1.5 mile visibility in Pleasanton. Now it's back up to 10 miles. Still a hint of fog around New Braunfels, and then Beeville's down to 1 mile, and that's the only spot. But we still need to kind of be on the lookout, especially down here to the south going along I-37 for perhaps some fog to form up this morning. Temperature 41 in town, 37 above Verde. Still jacket weather, even though we are almost 10 degrees above on average what it was yesterday at this time. And the humidity, which, you know, it's still pleasant out there. It's not as bone dry as what it has been. It's going to continue to go up. So you kind of notice humidity a little bit more throughout the rest of the afternoon. Then especially overnight, we're going to have a lot more humidity around here with these dew points coming up into the mid to upper 50s, even low 60s. So some more mist is possible tomorrow. A couple of patches of fog, a lot more in the way of clouds, and they'll be sticking around throughout the day as these dew points continue to go up with those south to southeasterly winds. It is going to be breezy today. It's also going to be windy tomorrow. Then there comes the drier air, which will be moving on in here. That's going to be early on Thursday. This is sort of a two-part phase, if you will, that with the next easy for me to say, the next cold front coming on in here. We'll get some drier air, some cooler air, then the cold air comes in behind that. So as far as today is concerned, we have some clouds hanging around here, more overnight with that extra humidity. Like I said, mist, drizzle tomorrow morning, and then throughout the day, a couple of showers are going to be possible and overnight into Thursday morning, but very, very few and far between. And that's going to be about it. And then those clouds will be clearing out later on in the day. So it's that low, which is going to try to work its way in our direction, but it's just really not going to come right at us. We get sort of the tail end of it at best, and that's why rain chances are almost non-existent. 65 degrees, partly cloudy skies today at noon, and a high temperature all the way up to 73. It is going to be windy today, and like I said, you'll kind of sense a little more humidity out there. Very, very mild tomorrow, and we'll make it up to 76 then, a couple of showers late. Cooler Thursday, colder Friday and Saturday, down close to freezing.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Time now, 6:50 and 42 degrees for now. And cancer impacts millions of Americans each year, and it is one of the scariest diagnoses. Tomorrow on GMSA, some things you can do to prevent it.
Outside with Live Cam, we're going to wrap up this hour of GMSA. Coming up after the break, should take a live look out at San Antonio International Airport and traffic, both eastbound and westbound on Loop 410.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, we have the latest on the situation in Ukraine and the mixed messages from Russia. This morning, they are building up troops, but also hinting at a diplomatic way out of the possible crisis. Our reporters are live in Ukraine and Russia this morning. That and so much more coming up right here on GMA.
It took nearly a week, but the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office has identified a woman who died in a fire last week. Good morning, I'm Katrina Weber. Staff members at the ME's office confirmed this morning that she was 91-year-old Jewel Jackson Dotson. And we covered that fire early last Thursday morning. Firefighters found Dotson's body after putting out a fire at her east side home in the 200 block of Utah Street. They also found a man there suffering from burns. He was taken to a hospital. Later that day, investigators determined that a space heater had fallen over and started that fire. The fire department also spoke out that day about the death of Dotson, as well as the deaths of two other people in fires last week. They said that all of those fire deaths were preventable, and they used the opportunity to remind people to be more cautious in their homes. Reporting near downtown, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
5 till.
Let's go ahead and take one last look at the roads with Stephen Cavazos.
Well, San Antonio is waking up with us now, and we are seeing it reflected right there on our roadways. 37 at Houston. It looks like traffic is picking up now that we are in morning rush. You can see 37 at Southeast Military. No problems there, but be able to look out right here off 35 southbound. A crash there at Somerset Road. Not causing issues for drivers, but it's been there for a little while now. So it's a scene that we're going to watch closely throughout the morning, especially with more people out there. Drive up here shows stalls are starting to be an issue. 410 westbound at Blanco Road, and a wider look at the map, Mike, does show that is going to be the problem at this hour.
Thank you, sir. And no problem out there by the airport as far as any visibility concerns. And everybody has good visibility right now, but just kind of watch it going down 37 for some patchy fog. 41 degrees right now. And we are going to have partly cloudy skies today. 65 at noon, 73 for a high temperature. Windy today. More clouds tomorrow. Couple of showers here and there, maybe overnight into Thursday. Cooler and then colder as we go in toward the weekend with a couple of more freezes Friday and Saturday mornings.
Cooler than colder. Got it.
Right.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you guys for joining us today, and we'll see you back here at 9.
Good Morning America is coming up next.